What's up guys, welcome back to the Mr. Fix-It channel. Still working on the Suzuki 850 on my quest to get this thing on the road. Stay tuned.
I was sitting out there in the shed one evening, not doing too much of nothing, just kind of staring at the wall. And
Okay, plan of attack today. I'm going to get the rear brake on and working. I got to flush the line out. I got to get the pedal unstuck. It does move, but it does not move freely. Get that all installed, get that working. Next step is to pull the carbs off. If you see previous videos, link up here in the corner, I didn't clean the carburetors. I literally pulled the carburetors off the bike, opened them up and looked, and they were pretty good considering how long they sat. So I never touched the carbs. I put them back together, I slapped them on the bike, and we heard how it ran. Get these carburetors pulled off, get them cleaned out. Hopefully I have all the parts and everything's good to go. Get that done, and if there's time left, I'm going to work on getting a clutch cable hooked up and throttle cables hooked up, because I really want to take this bike down the road before I start cutting up the frame and doing a bunch of work. I got to make sure this engine does the thing. Alright, might as well start with some of this stuff. A little bolt here to take out. Just give it a little wiggle, see what happens. Not much. I'm going to take a flat screwdriver, I'm going to wedge it right in there, tap it with a hammer, try to spread that open. Try prying on it just a little bit. Oh, there she comes. There's also this spring. I got to get this spring off of there. Hopefully I don't break it. I'll try taking it off right here instead. Might be easier. Yep, there we go. Okay, hopefully this will come right out. So we'll get that cleaned up, grease it, and put that back on. That should be good to go. Just trying to get some of that penetrating lube out of there. Alright, got that all cleaned up. Stick the spring back on. And I'm going to put some grease on this shaft. Alright, now we can slip this back in. The spring will hook on there. And this part of the spring here will latch a tab back and behind there, so you stick this in like this and then rotate it down until this part of the spring catches that tab. Now there's a dot on the end of the shaft here that lines up with the slot in this brake. You just reach in here and I can rotate this with my hand. Slip that on, bolt back in. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take the brake line out. There's a little bracket here. I'm just going to stick that bolt right back here so I don't misplace it. And it's got this little metal tab here. I just kind of bend it back a little bit there and pull that out. Now the brake line kind of goes through this metal mount here. So I think I should be able to just pull it through. Alright, let me see if I can wiggle this line out of here now. There it comes. I'm just going to look at it real close here, check it for cracks. Actually seems to be okay. I'm probably just going to use some brake clean and flush this line out. And flush it back the other way, of course. Yeah, look at that sludge. Rusty chunks and all kinds of crap in there. Wouldn't want that going in your freshly rebuilt brake caliper. So I was digging through all of my stuff and I found a brake pad that I modified. It's made these holes a little wider. So this will be my placeholder until I can get an actual set of pads for this. So I'll go ahead and assemble these pads. Okay, that'll go on the bike now. Okay, this system is completely dry, obviously, because I just took it all apart. So I'm going to start the bleeding process. Fill this up with some .3. I've got the line off of the master cylinder here, and I'm just going to pump the brake. And I'm going to use my finger as like the bleeder screw. There's some fluid. Trying to work some of the air out of it. Okay, now that's bled. Go ahead and stick the line back on. And I want to do the same thing back here, this end of the line. Alright, that's all the air out of that. Go ahead and stick this one back on. Alright, and I'm going to start with the back bleeder. See, the piston's grabbing already. Yep, starting to feel pressure on the brake pedal. Alright, go to the front one. And there we go, it's all bled out. Alright, see if we got a brake. Oh yeah. Here's a close-up look at this electrolysis process. Alright, I'm going to pop these carbs off and get them over to the bench, start taking them apart. Alright, so when I hooked up my fuel feed bottle to these, I noticed that it was leaking gas out of the O-rings between the fuel pipes that connect the carburetors. So I gotta disassemble this bank. I'm going to disassemble each carburetor completely, and then each one of them is going to get a bath in the ultrasonic, and then we'll put it all back together, and then maybe it'll run a little better. I'm going to have to figure out an air box. These CV carbs require a certain amount of vacuum on the airbox side to open these slides correctly. So pod filters generally don't work without a bunch of screwing around. So I'm going to try to find an airbox. Maybe I can fix the old airbox, doubtful. Or third option is I can make an airbox. So we'll get there when we get there. Let's start by taking this fuel hose off. I think I'm just going to head and disassemble each carburetor off of the rack here. So I'm going to take these screws out here, and then there's these screws here. Of course, there's still gas in them leaking all over the bench, so I got to get that drained out. And then should be able to pull out these screws to pull out the choke rod. You get the point. Actually, I think I'm going to start by taking the choke rod out. There should be these screws here. There's a little dimple in this rod for each one of these screws, so you got to back them out enough to get it out of that dimple, and then the rod should come out. And you can pull each one of these levers off. There's one odd one, which is all the way down here at this end. So we've got to remember that that one goes over here. Of course, the spring's gonna sprung itself out of there. We'll get that out. And then there's this piece. Set these all in order over here. And there's the last one. Take the choke rod out. Okay, now I'm going to get these big fat screws out down here and use my impact driver. Let's see, before I do that, I want to take this choke linkage off of here, pop these two screws out so I can set this up on its top. Ain't that some shit? Broke the tip of my screwdriver off, and it's stuck in the screw. Really? You can rest assured that there is always going to be some kind of unforeseen issue and you're going to be screwing around. If it wasn't for screwing around, I'd never get anything done. Come on, magic tool. Yes. Go ahead and take this off. And while I got it here, I'm going to go ahead and break all these screws loose. Some of these I've had off already. Okay, now I can set it up on its top like that. And I can get all these screws loose. Alright, now I can separate these carburetors and work on one individual carburetor at a time. Now watch this spring right here, you don't lose that guy. Right there. And these are the O-rings that I need to replace. See, that one's split. So I need to replace all these O-rings. So we'll set these aside and I'll get this one tore apart on camera. I'll do the rest of this off camera. This is going to get completely disassembled and cleaned out thoroughly. That's clean in there. Wow. Usually this is the hardest part about reviving a bike is the carburetors. I got lucky and somebody disconnected the fuel line and drained the carburetors and drained the tank before it was set up. So that saved these carburetors for sure. Check it for tears. Okay, I don't see any problem there. I'm just going to leave that all assembled. Using my screwdriver here to pry this float pin out. Carburetor's old enough it still has metal tips on the fuel valve needle. Well, dang it, come out of there. I'm going to get that pilot screw out. So we can get this gasket off without tearing it. Emulsion tube out. These carburetors are really clean on the inside. I am very, very surprised. Well, this one is anyway. Okay, let's take the enricher plunger out. Get a socket for that. Looks like a 14. Oh yeah, we can't forget about the mix screw. See if this thing will move. Uh-oh, that's not going to want to move. Well, maybe the hot bath will help loosen that up. If not, we'll have to try to get a torch out and try to get that, because that's got to come out. It has to. Alright, let's go bath this thing. Okay, while it's steaming hot, just came out of the bath. See if I can get that mix screw out. Come on, baby. Oh, it's trying to turn. Let me see if I have a bit that'll fit that a little tighter. So I'm gonna go modify a screwdriver. Come on, baby. I'll have to work at this one. But it's going to fight me. It may not come out. May end up stripping the screw out first. Oh man, that sucks. Well, I'm gonna work at this for a while. Maybe I'll get it out, maybe I won't. Oh my god, guys, it almost didn't come out. Wow. There it is. Boy, it fought me all the way to the last thread. It's hot, I don't want to touch it. Yeah, you probably can't see it, but right there about halfway down, there's a thread stuck. like part of the carburetor threads pulled out and came out with this screw. Alright, so I chucked this in the lathe, I faced that off. I'm going to try to take my Dremel and cut another slot in this. I did manage to take a razor blade and pick the threads clean, so it threads in there just fine now. So let me try to get another slot in this, maybe I can reuse this screw. That'll do, pig. Alright, let's see if this will screw back in there now. Before we get too carried away here, a little bit of anti-seize on this guy. Make sure not to cross thread the dang thing. Alright, that's bottomed out in there. That's bottomed out. Alright, well that's fixed. Good deal. Okay, there's one carburetor cleaned and reassembled. Ready to go back on. Just got to do that 3 more times. Got that screw fixed. Alright, got these all cleaned out. They don't look pretty, but they should function. So that much is done. So next thing is, how's the gas tank turned out? Well, I would like to say it looks shiny and new inside here, but I did get most of the rust out of it. So I think this is usable. So the next thing is, I got to get this guy cleaned out and working. So let's work on this next, and then maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to put the gas tank on, hook the fuel lines up to the carburetor, and run it off its own tank. That would be cool. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah. That's fun. About what I expected, sure. Oh my. Yeah, this is going to take quite a bit of cleaning to get this thing working again. You can get this off here without destroying it. Gentle. I think it's stuck in the bore. Whew, you guys are going to have to bear with some noise in the background. It's windy as heck today. There we go. One side of it anyway. There's the other side. Okay. Okay, there's that. Get this guy out of here, maybe. Uh-oh, that's stuck too. See, I think I'm going to throw this in the ultrasonic and just let that cook for a little bit. Maybe it'll loosen some things up. So I'll be back in just, for you it would be just a second. Okay, let's see what we can do with it now. Still pretty stuck. Let that soak in for a little bit. Meanwhile, I want to make sure this is good and cleaned out. So it should be able to pop this off of here, as long as it's not too brittle. I'm gonna take that guy off. Now we can clean this thing out real good. Just using some brake clean here and spray this out. Okay, well that's good and usable. So we'll put that back on. See if I can find an O-ring for this. Actually, that O-ring's not bad. It's still rubbery. Yeah, that's still good. Alright, back to this thing. Really need to get this apart. These things stick real bad when they're in working condition, so I'm not surprised that it's stuck. I don't really want to put any heat on it because I don't want to damage this diaphragm. Got this pry bar. Maybe I can get in here and turn it with this. There, it turned. Oh, it's moving. Awesome. That came right out. Okay, now I should be able to get in through here and tap this guy out from the inside. Bada bing, just like that. This thing is absolutely crusty and disgusting. I'm thinking the best way to clean this out is going to be the sandblaster. Oh yeah, now you can really see the corrosion. It's all eaten away right in there. Well, this little O-ring here, believe it or not, is still rubbery and good. Now we can stick that back in the tank and see what happens. All right, let's get this gas tank reassembled. Now, I'm gonna seal this tank at a later date. Right now, I just want to make sure there's no leaks and everything's going to do what it's supposed to do. So I'm just going to reassemble everything, and I'll probably do the electrolysis on this again before I go to seal it. There's our cleaned up fuel level sender. Go ahead and stick this guy back in here. I'll be really surprised if this doesn't leak. This little part here just ensures that if this leaks, that the gas will run down onto the ground and not on top of the engine, start a fire. Let's go put the bike back together. Well, at least the carb's in the tank anyway. Alright, I got the meter hooked up to the fuel level sender, and I'm going to see if that works as I'm putting gas in. I totally expect this to leak. I can't expect all those seals to hold up, but we're going to try anyway. Looks like the fuel gauge is working. Sweet. Alright, that should be enough to check for leaks. And this hose is coming from the fuel gauge. No gas coming out of that yet. Yep, there's a leak over here at this seal for the petcock. See, it's just dripping out of that seal. I did find another O-ring, so maybe this will seal it up and get it to stay in there. Well, so far it's leak free. It's looking good up in there. I don't see any leaks. Let me turn the prime on. No leaks. Alright. Alright, I rigged up a temporary throttle cable. See if this thing will start. Now those carbs are going to need synced and tuned. It's just got pod filters on it right now. But it fired right up. That one bad clamp wasn't tight. It had a substantial intake leak. Well, that's all the time I got for this project today. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Well, you just can't win them all. Yep. Dang it.